Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we're talking about Sylvia's Love, a movie that made me more delusional than I already am. This is essentially a love story about the one that almost got away. Sylvia's Love revolves around Sylvia and her love Robert, who after casually walking by a record store, stops in awe as he sees Sylvia passionately working and right then and there falls in love with her. So although the two of them love each other, they can't help but think that the other is better off without them, and so they keep going back and forth, moving as far away from each other as humanly possible. Little do they know that all the things that they think they're doing to separate them are actually bringing them closer together. So this movie is essentially love at first sight, and also how sometimes love just ain't enough. And so this is the type of movie I have to warn you, like I was in the mood for, so I loved it. So if you're kind of mushy and sad and you're feeling like kind of, not like in a weird place, grab a drink and just kind of chill out and watch it. If you're not in that mood, maybe revisit it when you are in that mood. So it really depends on how you're feeling. But personally, I loved it. I love the messaging and specifically Sylvia's character, because maybe I'm projecting a lot onto this girl, but I could relate, right? So as I said in the beginning, they keep going back and forth, thinking that they're better off without each other. And initially when Sylvia and Robert meet, it's not ideal, right? And I think it's true that there's never a right time. Like we make plans, but God laughs. So they meet, and of course Sylvia's engaged, but she's so drawn to him and she's so attracted to him that like she kind of has to entertain it. Robert, on the other hand, is ready to risk it all and be with her. And just watching the two of them go back and forth, because Sylvia's logic initially in terms of letting her man go is that he's better off without her, right? Like she didn't want to hold him down, she didn't want to restrict him so that he could go off and become a famous jazz musician. And then finally, when Robert's ready to commit, he lets her go because he feels like he could be doing better. And watching this, I think it is true, right? That sometimes, what is that saying? Like, if you love them, let them go. And maybe we should unnormalize that, like that maybe that's something that we should kind of let go. Because I totally understood Sylvia. I have been in that position where you feel like you meet somebody and you feel you think the world of them, you see their potential, even if they might not see their potential. That's the thing. So Robert is a very talented musician and Sylvia sees that in him, right? She thinks that he can do everything on the planet. She thinks that he is just the bomb. Now Robert, it's clear as the movie goes on that he doesn't have as high opinion of himself as Sylvia does. But again, Sylvia's respect for him is so high that she can't even imagine like restricting him to family life, like, or not letting him go to Paris. And it's really funny in terms of like when you love them, let them go, because sometimes we're in that position where you meet somebody and you respect them and you really love them, and you just get this idea where, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you meet somebody that you feel like they're just amazing, you're in awe of them, you don't know why, and it never occurs to us that maybe that person doesn't know. And like, what if you did say yes, right? Like, what if Sylvia had just kind of said yes and gone to Paris, and who knows, he probably would have become a famous jazz musician anyways. I mean, all this to say that the process of working on yourself and becoming a better person and doing all these things, like this is an endless process, and you don't have to be alone when you do it. And that's something I'm slowly starting to learn. And this whole thing about, potential and reaching your potential, and, if I'm with this person, I'm going to ruin them. And I'm like that. I'm very empathetic like that. If I meet somebody I really care about, whether it be friends or lovers, I just think, especially if I really respect them, I'm like, right person, wrong time. And the thing about right person, wrong time is, I'm not saying ignore that feeling, but there's honestly never a right time. And sometimes, perhaps, you're better off with that person, right? Like you could make so much more progress and you can actually reach your goals a lot faster with somebody else next to your side. Because it's really hard to find that connection that Sylvia and Robert have. Like, yes, it's a movie, I know, but I have met people, and I think you have too, where it's like lightning strikes, right? Like you just connect, and the older you get, like there's very few people you kind of connect with on that level where it's just automatic. And for whatever reason, we either don't recognize it or we kind of let them go, thinking, when we're ready, we'll come back. But maybe there is no comeback. So this movie for me aesthetically was quite pleasing. The mood of it, the era that it was set in. I enjoyed watching Sylvia work. And that's the thing, right? Like she's constantly becoming her better self. And as hard as they try to reach their goals, at the end of the day, being separate doesn't do anything for them, right? Like each one literally thinks the other is better off without them. And I just enjoyed this love story. Like sometimes, you know, you really have to fight for the people that you love, and it's not going to be easy. And this idea that you have to do things by yourself and tough it out, like that's not, like, you don't have to do this alone. Like I'm doing it alone, so I'm talking like as a do as I say, not as I do type of person. But all this to say, we all have imposter syndrome. Nobody deserves anything that they feel that they have. And so it's actually those people that don't feel they're good enough for somebody else, or are very self-aware, that deserve the world. So if you feel like you have imposter syndrome and you meet somebody that you connect with, you go right ahead and pursue that. Anyways, all this to say, I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed their back and forth. I like the idea of this love story, this thing where two people kind of meet and they connect, but circumstances in life kind of create all these obstacles that, you know, make it hard for them to be together. But, you know, relationships aren't easy, right? Like love is step one, and then kind of working on that is an endless process. So this movie had me like just kind of teary-eyed and feeling some type of way by the end of it. Like it just hit the spot for me. Maybe because I'm spending my holidays alone. I don't know. But it's definitely a movie you have to be in the mood for. You know what I mean? Like revisit it if you're not kind of feeling mushy and that type of, you know, way. So yeah, let me know what you think if you did watch it. I enjoyed it. And it's a movie that I'll definitely be revisiting. And so yeah, until next time.